What do you think of when you think of the word enough? What is enough? And a lot of times we don't know what enough is. What is enough money? What is enough home? What is enough clothes? What is enough? If you're new here, my name is Janet, and welcome to the Second Act Collective. Today we are talking about enough, knowing you're enough. And this is important, especially in midlife, as you're rebuilding maybe your life, starting from scratch or starting from wherever you're starting from, and you're rebuilding this life in your second act. I think it's important that you know what enough is. And the word itself can mean different things to different people, right? Because what is my enough might not be your enough. What is Elon Musk enough might not be, yours and mine enough. So enough is, I think, really, it varies according to the person and your dreams, your ambitions, and who you are. But you as an individual, as a woman, who is over 45, you need to know what enough is. If we are building a new life, you are rebuilding your life, you better know what enough is. Because otherwise you're going to repeat the same mistakes that you did in previously when you were younger. So I find it interesting when, you go somewhere and people will say, what do you do? Right. And a lot of times, especially in America, what do you do? Which I think is also probably one of the countries I think that you're asked that more than any other place in the world, at least from my understanding of reading and listening to people and where I've been. I feel like in here in the US, that's where you really hear that, you meet someone, you say hi, and almost immediately they ask you, what do you do? And which I don't know. I know I've asked some people that before, but I've come to realize that that question is really loaded. And you see what this links to the enough that I'm going to talk about. So because when people ask you what do you do, a lot of times it's because they want to put you somewhere in a scale, in a gauge, to see whether you deserve their respect, depending on what you do. Right? So some people can say, oh, I'm just a housewife. And a lot of times you see that the interest kind of fades off. Their face shows that, well, you're nothing because you're a housewife. Or I'm a teacher. And someone says I'm a teacher compared to somebody who might say I'm a surgeon or a brain surgeon. People's faces light up because in their minds, the brain surgeon has more value, is worth you taking your time, is worth you respecting more than somebody who might just be a teacher. And we see this happening. And I'm telling you this so that when you go out there, when you meet people and people ask you this, just watch their faces and see, depending on what you do, that a lot of that question is about the value that they want to attach to you. Because what I do has nothing to do with who I am. My value is not linked to what I do. But when you get this question a lot of times, it's because people are looking to see what's, hold on here, minutes, hold on. Okay, here we go. People are looking to see, to evaluate you really. Are you worth my time? Are you worth my respect? Are you worth me even listening to you? Because if what you do does not bring a lot of money, then I don't have to respect you. I don't have to listen to what you have to say. You are of no value whatsoever to me. This is why that question a lot of people ask, because they're trying to put you somewhere in their heads, whether you're worth their time or not. And I think this is more in the US than in any other place around the world. But the reason I'm saying this is because if you don't know, if you attach what you do, your worth to what you do, your enough to what you do, like all these things, then your value is attached to things, is attached to the job that you do. So what is enough in our lives? What is the enough income? And this has nothing to do with the society. This is us talking on just individually in yourself, in your heart. For you, what is enough money? What is the job that you say, oh, this is good and this is enough, I'm happy here? Where is that scale of being content? Because you will be judged, like we're just talking about, with people about where you are. Like I said, a lot of people tend to value, plastic surgeons or brain surgeons more than they do teachers. Yet who is in the classroom teaching those boys and girls to then become surgeons and whatever else? So the society wants to put value on you depending on what you do. And you have to know and have the confidence of, first and foremost, what I do doesn't matter. It's not where, how I'm valued. But you also have to know what is enough for you. So as you're designing your life, as you're rebuilding your life, you have a number. And I think it's also good to know the number. Is 2 million enough for you? Is 5 million enough? Is 300,000 enough? What is that number when you talk in terms of money and maybe the kind of work you're going to be doing in the second chapter? What is the number that you can say, if I hit this number, it's enough? Because what happens when we are building things a lot of times is, we have these goals. Yeah, I want to make 1 million a year. And then you get to that million. You're like, I can try 2. What about 5? What about 10? So you keep climbing this ladder that never gets to the top, because the top part, that's whatever the aim where we're trying to get, keeps shifting. It keeps shifting every year, shifts every 5 years, because we have not sat down with ourselves and say, what exactly is enough? Is the home that I'm in right now enough? Is, or do I want something else? And if I get that bigger house, is that going to be enough? Because if you don't know the enough, where do you stop? You keep going and going and going. And then people get, this discontentment in their hearts. They get frustrated. They are hustling. And that's not what we're trying to do right now as we're in our second chapter. We're not trying to repeat the past, to do things the same way we were. So I would suggest that you take the time, you and I we need to take the time and figure out what the enough number is. What is the enough money that you need to live your life and be happy? How much is that? What is the enough money for you to retire if you plan on retiring? And what does that look like? For each and every one of us is different. And there is no judgment. If somebody's enough is 10 million and they'll be happy there and be like, okay, I'm done. I've hit my goal of 10 million. That's okay. If somebody else's is 500,000 and they can live their life that they want and they're happy with it, that is okay too. So this is not to judge, those who are wanting more than the other, because our lifestyles are different and the things we like to do are different. Some people like to travel. Some people like the big house. And, that might cost a lot more money than somebody who wants a smaller place. So you cannot look at somebody's enough and even compare yourself or build your life with somebody else's enough. That's not good either. So you're not going to you look around at your friends, at people you see online, at whatever, and be like, well, that's the life I want. Is that your enough? And when you get that, are you going to be happy and say, I'm done. I've reached my goals. I'm content where I am, and this is enough. Because that matters a lot, knowing that number. I think in this time, in this stage of life we are, these are things we need to know. These are things we need to wrestle with and talk about and be very honest with ourselves. If you want that big house, then be honest about it. If you want the bags and the clothes and the car, then just be honest and say, what, if I get this, I think this will be the enough. But it's good to know so that you don't keep chasing something, a goal that you never seem to reach, because it's always elusive. The moment you get to that number, then it's, oh, maybe I can make more. Maybe I can do this. It's good to know what the enough is for you. So you stop chasing things. It also is good to not judge yourself about what you consider enough. It's good not to compare yourself about what you think is enough, because we are all very different and we all live different lifestyles, and it's okay. Like, there is no judgment about anybody's enough, what they consider to be enough. For whatever reason, they think, that number is enough. If somebody's number is 5 million, that's what they want to make, or that's what they want after the taxes, and they're going after it, then that's good for them. And hopefully when they get there, they are satisfied and content, and they can say, yeah, this is about enough. So this is, when I'm talking about the enough thing, I'm talking about you knowing, and myself knowing, where or how much is enough for me. How many bags do I need? How many clothes do I need? How many shoes do I need? What is that number that is enough to make you happy and content, to say, you know what, I'm going to stop the hustling. I'm going to stop the striving. This is enough for me. And really just enjoy living your life. And why am I talking about this? Because for us, a lot of women, we look around and we see what others have sometimes, and you can get discouraged, right? You can get discouraged because somebody might have a life that you think, that's what I want, right? But that happens because you don't even understand your own enough. Like, what is enough for me? And that it might differ with that person that you are looking and, envying, or looking and saying, I wish I had what they had. And I always, caution women, like, you never wish you had somebody else's life. God knows what he's doing with the life. Trust me, if you were to live that person's life, you will be quickly say, please give me back mine. I would rather deal with my stuff. Because what always looks greener on one side over the fence is, you don't know, there might be a septic tank underneath it that's feeding the grass. So you never want to, and this is why God cautions us about, envy, about comparing ourselves, about jealousy towards other people and what they have, about, coveting what others people have, because you don't know, first and foremost, how they're getting that. And you don't know what's supporting it. It could be, maybe it's not good, maybe it's not, it's not what God has for you. So when we know our enough, I believe you stop comparing, you stop being envious of other people's life, you stop looking at somebody else and say, I wish I was them, I wish I had this. When you know what is your enough. And it also helps us in building the second stage. It helps us in knowing how far you're going to go. And I think it's also a motivator. Like, okay, if I know I want to make this amount of money per year, or I want to retire with this amount of money per year, I can work hard to achieve that goal. And then I can stop once I'm there, because that's my enough. And I'm content and I'm happy. So it helps us to plan, knowing what's enough for us. It really helps us in planning what we do, and even planning how you design your life, how you design your business. What business are you going to, excuse me. I'm catching it. Well, I'm not catching anything, but I've had these symptoms like a cold or something, and my kids have had the flu. So I'm hoping I'm not going to get any. Anyway, let me just say I'm not getting the flu. I refuse. That's kind of where I am. But anyway, back to the discussion at hand. When you build knowing what your enough is, I think it's so freeing to just know what is my enough. Is it, 2 homes in different countries? Is it 1 home, and how big, how much money? All that information is something that is, I think, very relevant in planning and designing your next chapter, knowing what the enough is. And also not allowing the world to define what enough is for you is a very important point, is that we do not want what's out there, people's opinions, suggestions, how they're living their lives to be the definition of what we call enough for our own lives. So this is about knowing yourself. And this is work. It's work that you're going to have to do to figure out what exactly is enough for me. What does my, as I'm getting older, what does it look like? What would be enough? What would make me happy? And then you're working towards something without comparing yourself to others. I think this is really the power of knowing what enough is in your life and being able to define what is enough. And if somebody says to you, what do you do for a living? It doesn't matter. Their judgment won't matter. Their looks on their faces won't matter, because if you know what enough is for you and you're happy and you're content and you're fulfilling the will of God in your life, who cares if somebody has millions and millions of dollars and they are not happy, their families, things are not going on well. Because just, of course, having a lot of money does not make you happy. It does not make you happy. It does make life easy, for sure. Yes, you can buy a lot of things that can make you happy. But it doesn't mean you have the things in your life that are necessary for peace and for joy. And I think that's what we all want. So whether you do have the 10 million in a bank account, as long as you are happy and your relationships are good, your relationship with God is good, you have friends, your friendships, deep, meaningful things in your life, and you are content, that's good. If you have 300,000 in your bank account and you still have the same thing, you're happy, you have joy, you have family relationships that are good and steady, you get to do what you want and love, that's also enough, and that's okay. So it really is not about the number as much as you knowing the number for yourself and being okay with that number, and then maybe working towards it, or once you have achieved it, settling down and saying, yeah, I'm okay now. I'm okay. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about, this enough thing of knowing what is enough for you. So if you're new here, my name is Janet, and I would love for you to subscribe to our community. The link is below. And what else? Turn on the notification bell. Subscribe to this channel as well, and share the videos, please. I would really appreciate it. Anytime you share or give a thumbs up, it helps the video in the YouTube thing, the machine, the YouTube. So I would really appreciate that. Anyway, I think this is it, my friends, for now. And I'll see you next time. Bye.